It began quietly, far from Dhaka. On the night of 18th December 2025 at 9:30 p.m. in a hospital room in Singapore, a 32-year-old Bangladeshi activist took his final breath. His name was Sharif Osman Hadi, the convener of Bangladesh-based student movement Inqilab Mancho. 6 days earlier, on the streets of Dhaka, Hadi had been shot. At first, it looked like another episode of political violence in a country no stranger to it. But as the hours turned into days and the days into diplomatic crises, it became clear. This was not an ordinary assassination. This was a strategic rupture, one that cracked open Bangladesh's fragile post-2024 political order and sent shockwaves across the border into India. To understand why Hadi died, you have to understand who he was and why he frightened so many different actors at once. Hadi came from Jhalokatti, born to a madrasa teacher. His early life was shaped by the Qaumi religious grassroots, a world often dismissed or ignored by Bangladesh's urban elite. But Hadi did something unusual. He stepped out of that space and into Dhaka University, enrolling in political science, crossing a social and ideological boundary few managed to navigate. Over time, analysts began calling him a hybrid leader. He could speak to conservative religious networks without alienating secular urban youth. He understood street politics, but he also understood theory, symbolism, and power. That hybrid identity mattered. During the July uprising of 2024, Hadi emerged not as a background organizer, but as a visible, confrontational presence, what supporters called a fearless frontline fighter. Cameras caught him at protests, crowds responded. His name began circulating far beyond student circles. After Sheikh Hasina Wajid's ouster, many expected figures like Hadi to lose relevance. Revolutions often consume their own. But Hadi didn't fade, he escalated. He founded Inqilab Mancho, positioning it against both the old Awami League establishment and the new interim power brokers. By late 2025, he was not just mobilizing students anymore, he was campaigning for parliament. And then came the maps. Hadi began circulating imagery of a greater Bangladesh, visuals that absorbed West Bengal and India's seven sisters into a single nationalist vision. To some, it looked like fringe fantasy. To strategists in New Delhi, it was something else entirely, because those images struck directly at the Siliguri corridor, India's narrow, vulnerable lifeline to its northeast. At that moment, Hadi stopped being just Bangladesh's problem. He became a geopolitical irritant. Then on 12 December 2025, the story turned violent. Box Culvert Road, Dhaka. Shortly after Friday prayers, a motorcycle hit team moved in. Faisal Kareem Masood, a former leader of the Awami League student wing, fired at close range. The shots were precise, the intent was clear. What followed exposed something far more organized than a lone gunman. The weapon was quietly moved through family networks to Narsingri district. Masood fled, not into hiding, but toward India. Intelligence reports would later suggest something even more troubling, that Masood's movement across borders involved a syndicate linked to a former Awami League MP, Jewel Ehring. For many in Dhaka, this was not circumstantial anymore. It looked like evidence that remnants of the Hasina regime were operating from Indian soil. The streets reacted faster than diplomats. Angry mobs, convinced that sections of the media were aligned with Indian interests, set fire to Bangladesh's largest newspapers. The country slipped into unrest. Visas were suspended, communal tensions surged. Something fundamental is becoming impossible to ignore in Bangladesh. A generational shift is underway. Among younger Bangladeshis, especially those politicized after the upheavals of 2024, the idea of a greater Bangladesh no longer sits at the margins of nationalist discourse. References to India's seven sisters now circulate openly on campuses, in digital spaces, and within protest culture. For decades, New Delhi's approach to Dhaka has rested on strategic dominance and overt political backing of preferred regimes. It no longer does. The generation that came of age during the July 2024 uprising does not view India as a benign regional guardian. It sees interference, and it rejects the notion of Bangladesh as a satellite state. In that context, hegemony is no longer a sustainable option in South Asia. Influence now carries costs. Hadi's martyrdom crystallized this shift. the domestic consequences may prove even more significant. Inqilab Moncho is not a registered political party, yet it played a decisive role in toppling a government by mobilizing ordinary citizens across ideological and social divides. Until recently, its influence remained concentrated in and around Dhaka's urban periphery. In that sense, Hadi's assassination did not end Inqilab Moncho's relevance. It amplified it. The resulting wave of emotional identification is likely to redraw political alignments. Sharif Osman Hadi is now buried beside the national poet Qazi Nazrul Islam in Dhaka, elevated to the status of a national martyr. In death, his influence has only grown.